Hello, and welcome to Skyline Psychology. Do you ever feel like you're doing the same thing over and over, made worse when the action or thoughts you keep repeating lead to nowhere good? You know, the way you might make promises to yourself and never keep them. Like, I'm absolutely going to start that assignment tomorrow morning, or I'm going to cut out sugar completely, starting tomorrow. There's something magical about tomorrow, isn't there? Actually, it's given me an idea for my next video. Stay tuned for my take on the magical fantasy land that we call tomorrow. I remember sitting in my lectures at uni learning about the fact that a human mind experiences 80,000 thoughts a day. And then I later learnt that 60,000 of those thoughts are the same as the ones we thought yesterday. How the heck does someone even count something like that? But the idea seems about right. Thoughts truly are an essential ingredient for everything we do. They're likely the most powerful force we contend with in our lives as they shape our reality. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." Gandhi said, "A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes." Henry Ford added, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Or was that Stewie Griffin? Lots of people agree, even the matricidal baby from Family Guy, that thoughts are powerful. We are repetitive, habitual creatures as much as we might not like to believe it. Over 90% of the things we do in our lives are repetitive and mundane behaviors. Brush your teeth, hopefully. Take a shower, hopefully too. Make your bed, you really should. Go to your usual coffee place, get your usual coffee. Mine's a flat white for the record. Campo's is usually a safe bet. Go to your usual job. Do your usual rituals across the day. Watch the clock like Fred Flintstone, and when the whistle goes, fly out the door into your mode of transport and listen to the same Skyline Psychology YouTube videos on your way home. When we look at it this way, we realize there isn't a whole lot of novelty in our everyday lives, except for the parts that we might add. Maybe that's why we doom scroll looking for that next dopamine hit like an addict at the pokies. That's another story for another video, but stay with me now. The part I'm trying to drive home is repetition. It's been explained in a lot of ways, but one way I like to explain it to clients is imagine that you have this untouched and pristine plain. Now imagine that you then get some rain. And no, we're not in Spain. But when the rain falls and the water hits the ground, gravity causes it to start running. The water starts to create a pathway for itself, and off it goes, down to the sea, I guess. Now, the next day, it rains again, and the water doesn't really find a new path. It just uses the path that was set yesterday. What's more, the pathways seem to get a little deeper, until you get something of a river, or in a more extreme way, the Grand Canyon. So hopefully you can see what I'm getting at with this analogy. Through repetition, the grooves for the water flow get deeper and deeper. Our 80,000 thoughts are like a monsoon. This analogy seems consistent with what we've come to understand about neurology. Neurons that fire together wire together, which means the more times we think or do something, the stronger the neural connections get. The more we rehearse, either on purpose or through sheer repetition, the more it becomes embedded into our minds. The actual physical brain changes as neurons strengthen or weaken their connections. This is as true for thoughts as it is for behaviors. Think of someone practicing a musical instrument. Not only is the practice important for reinforcement of the skills, but you can also actually practice mistakes into your pieces so that the mistakes become embedded. This seems fascinating and also in parallel with our thoughts. We can practice misattributions of thoughts and have them become embedded also. They later become our unhelpful thinking styles and troubling core beliefs. Take, for example, one of the most insidious core beliefs in existence. Of course, I'm talking about the old chestnut, "I'm not good enough." This one is particularly nasty because as humans, we are perfectly imperfect. And this core belief preys upon and misrepresents our imperfection as something inherently bad or broken about us. It's like a double hit. The first hit is the idea that you should be better at this, whatever this is, and the second hit comes in the form of the thought that the reason you aren't as good as you should be is because you're broken and faulty. And so you see, the lie gets reinforced anytime we do something novel or less than perfectly. So, what does any of this have to do with ruts? Well, think of the rain in Spain that falls mainly on the plain, and then think of the notion that neurons that fire together wire together, and then think of the repetitious nature of our thoughts. And then add in the insidious nature of some of our more unhelpful core beliefs and how they can be stamped onto all of our new experiences, reinforcing their strength. And we have a recipe for some pretty serious and limiting mental ruts. We get stuck in them, and then we have trouble getting out and risk freaking out or losing hope. Now that we understand what a rut and its tributaries can be, now let's look at what we do with them. Well, I suppose the first thing to be done is to identify that we are in fact stuck in a rut, and to bring some acceptance, curiosity, and compassion into the mix. It's a seemingly normal experience, albeit frustrating, and even the wisest among us are susceptible to this because of our human nature. So yeah, you're not alone, and you're not uniquely messed up. That said, we still want to get out of the rut, so acceptance should not be mistaken for resignation. Acceptance is the mindset that allows us to drop the struggle and start to look for solutions. Like when you're in the surf and get caught in a rip. Sometimes the immediate thing to do is stop struggling and go with the terrifying current so that you can get to the end of the force you can't overcome, and then find a way out once the current ends. This seems to literally be the case for a rip in the surf, but also metaphorically the case for other experiences in our lives. Breathe, steady yourself, let go of what you can't control, and focus on what you can. Okay, so we're in the rut, we're accepting and calm, we're breathing and looking around. What now? Remember our old mate Einstein, who said something like, we can't solve problems at the same level of thinking that we were at when we created those problems. So we need to level up. And in order to do that, we need some input from somewhere else. In other words, we need a push or a winch or a tow or some other method for coming out. We need inspiration, a new way of thinking, some physical help, or even a Zen slap so we can drop the panic and think of solutions. We can turn to one of our bread and butter techniques as psychologists called cognitive reframing. In other words, we identify the lies that our mind is telling us, and we get a metaphorical shovel and start digging a new thought trench. A trench is kind of like a rut, but it's dug on purpose to make things better. Whether you're in a war dodging bullets or irrigating your veggie patch at home, trenches can be very helpful. In the same way, a mental trench can help you avoid your previous problematic rut, and instead lead you down the intentional and better trench. For example, I try something new, I suck at it. My rut-like thought tells me the reason I suck at it is because I'm faulty and there's something wrong with me, and that I should have been way better at that than I was. So I take out the shovel and dig the following trench thought. Like, the reason I even tried this new thing was to experience something new, not to decide my entire character or self-worth on my ability to do this novel task. I get to try new things at least. That's pretty cool. If I had no limits and was perfect at everything like everyone else, then there'd be nothing to differentiate me from others. What a boring world that would make. I'm going to keep practicing and compare my current self to my past self as opposed to comparing to others, especially those far more experienced than me, and see if I can get any better at it. Can you feel that trenchy goodness? Learn the art of reframing and use your own made trenches instead of these ruts made of lies. They're the thoughts you want rather than the ones you get stuck with. From time to time, you'll unwittingly get stuck in an old rut, or maybe even a new one, but still, know that when you're ready, the shovel and the trench digging skills are there for you, and you'll get better at it with practice. And just like the ancient Incas, you too can become a master of trench digging and irrigate your mind with the wonderful, life-giving waters of helpful thought. Try it for yourself sometime. I'll leave you with this little gem. The internet says Lao Tzu said it, but it could have just as easily been Tom from the local pub. Either way, it goes, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. I hope you found this video helpful, and thanks for watching till the end. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Leave a comment if you want to comment, or have any suggestions on what other videos you might like to see. As always, for bookings and appointments, please call or reach us through our website, and I'll see you in the next one.